Hello, I'm the gaming superhero, and on this Friday the 13th, ooh, we are building former super nanny Agatha Harkness. So as usual, let's get into some comic history. We don't know where she was born, or even have a strong grasp on how old she is. It varies from a few hundred years to over 2,000 years, but also has no alter ego or superhero name, it's just Agatha Harkness. She was originally introduced in Fantastic Four, number 94 to be specific. Soon after the birth of Franklin Richards, Reed and Sue decide it would be nice to have someone around to raise their kid when they don't feel like it. After she defeats the Frightful Four, she gets the job as their nanny and does that until little Franklin grows up and she decides to start mentoring Wanda Maximoff. And that's about as far as can go because there really isn't a whole lot of comic history with her. I have decided to make Agatha a support hero. Those that have seen the Disney Plus show may be confused, but I believe it is the most fitting, especially in order to make her distinct from Scarlet Witch. Her primary fire would be a purple straight beam. Think Zarya or Iron Man's chest laser. No free lock on for this witch. Her passive is called Blast Me Fools! A portion of damage taken is returned to the attacker, so Agatha still takes full damage, but the attacker will just also share some of the damage. Just how much is flexible and up for balancing, but if Agatha takes sustained damage, like Iron Man's Unibeam or Scarlet Witch's primary fire, the damage of the attacker takes will grow exponentially. So the longer they keep sustained fire on her with these sustained attacks, the more damage they take. And, they hold it long enough, they'll end up taking more damage than Agatha does, and die before they can kill her. Her first ability is Containment Runes, where she places a hexagon of runes on the ground. Any enemies caught in the hexagon can't leave or use any abilities in the area, but they can shoot out of it, and they can move within the small space of the hexagon. Think Mauga ult, but on a smaller scale, and it's not a shield that stops them from shooting outward. And this also helps in making Agatha a direct counter to Scarlet Witch. That wasn't entirely intentional. The passive interaction with Wanda was intentional to be like a direct counter, but the runes ended up being a happy accident in that regard. Especially since it was directly inspired from WandaVision and that final battle where it revealed that she put runes on Wanda's hex to help contain her and steal her power. The second ability is Just Take It. This allows you to grant an ally 50% life steal for a small amount of time. She can hold 3 charges of this ability and thus give 3 allies this ability at a time. And it's not permanent, it does wear off after a little bit. This is her one healing ability to justify putting her in the support category. Although her other abilities are very supportive oriented, because the runes don't do any direct damage, and the passive is more of just a self-sustain tool for when the support gets dove. So, very few actual offensive abilities, very much just containing and assisting the team, which makes her a very good support, and very different than just straight heal botting. Finally, we have her ultimate, Witch's Road. Send out a path ahead of her, similar to a Kiriko ult, of purple flowers. Any ally standing on the road get a speed boost, and gain more buff the longer they stay on the road. Staying on the path for 3 consecutive seconds gains you and your allies faster fire rate, 6 seconds gains increased damage output, and 9 seconds reduces ability cooldowns. And then finally, if you manage, and any of your allies manage to stay on the path for the full 10 seconds of the ult's duration, without stepping off or dying, all of the buffs will become permanent for that life. But if you do step off, then you do retain the buffs for 3 seconds after stepping off of the road. So the most optimal use of this ult would be to line it up with your team to make sure that they're all on it on the point of activation. Because even just stepping on late into the ult's usage will not get you that final permanent buff. This felt like a particularly fitting ult, because it very much keeps in spirit with, specifically the Witch's Road from the show. The longer you stay on and commit to it and quote-unquote get to the end of the road, get great power, which in this case is a bunch of really good buffs for the rest of that life. Finally, her team-up is Witch Coven. is to team up with Scarlet Witch and Magic. When killed, the 3 characters will come back as a spirit for 3 seconds, except Agatha, who remains for 5. In these ghost forms, they are intangible, thus don't take damage and are unaffected by CC, and can use all abilities, as per usual. But once the time runs out, they enter the normal respawn cycle, so they get sent back to, they gotta wait, and then they get sent back to the spawn room. And that is it for Agatha Harkness's kit, if she were added into Marvel Rivals. I am particularly proud of this concept, as well as had a blast making it. The rogue concept was interesting and character accurate, but a little too convoluted, and a bit of a bad start for the first time, because it was very loose and a bit hard to explain. I stand by it being the best way to add Rogue to the game, if she ever put it, but I definitely think having more of a straightforward original kit is nicer for these sorts of videos, and definitely easier to describe. This was a significantly easier time. But I hope you enjoyed. You know what to do, and you're welcome for not making a dumbass Agatha all along joke.
It's been Agatha.